Hello, welcome to Staring to the Abyss. I'm your host, Richard Gerlach. With me, as always, is Matt Brandenburg.
Hey, I see like a weird unicorn that's melting into a skeleton and then coming back to life. It's crazy, but I'm enjoying it.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. And also with me is Vitlame Mist.
Oh, you're lucky you have a melting unicorn. My cat's legs, they just sprouted wings.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah, and it's just fluttering around here. I don't know what's happening.
It just wants to be friends.
Yes.
I don't like winged things, especially ones that fly at me.
Wait, what?
Ride it into the distance and go on adventures.
Yeah, you don't like birds?
At a distance, yes, as long as they don't fucking fly at me. We have fucking Kriya. They are vicious assholes.
We'll have to hear that rant later then, Vitlame.
Yeah.
But with us is a special guest, the author of Reality But More Fun, Madeleine Swann.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank
Same
you for
here.
joining us today.
Pardon?
I said thank you for joining us today.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I'm glad to be here.
Right from the start, your book was a blast.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a lot of fun.
thank you. Well, that's what I was aiming for. It's reality, but more fun. So I had to, hopefully everyone does have fun.
It's right in the title. I love it.
Yeah, that was the aim.
No, it was a blast. I love just like, and we'll get into it, but just as right when it started and some crazy things were happening, I'm like, what is going on? I love every second of this. So
Good.
it was a blast.
Oh, right over there. Yep.
Did you wish you were at the theme park?
Oh gosh, I
It's a yes and a no for me.
Yeah.
I'd want to go to this
Yeah.
theme park.
Yeah, I was like, I could be fun, but then there's also this whole question about my sanity. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Well,
Given
You
the
go-
fact that everything was happening there, I kind of really wanted to visit Halloween Land. Like, what kind of fucked up shit is gonna happen there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if I ever did another one, I'd go more into that.
Yes,
Yes.
do like
Yeah,
a really gory horror version of it.
The kind of place that you could only go really for a lunch break because it'd be fun for maybe an hour, but after a while, the falling apart reality would start to get to you. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully your brain has to keep everything together.
Yeah,
And the longer you stay, the harder that becomes.
yeah, and that's difficult anyway. So
I think it might depend on the brain, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
agree. But no, seriously, this book is a lot of fun. I don't know how long the sale's lasting, but I know like the last few weeks it's been 99 cents on the Kindle.
yes, and 79p in the UK.
Nice.
There you go. Right now, the sale's pretty affordable, but it's a really good book, and I recommend our audience definitely check it out.
Yay! Yeah, I wish I could tell you when the sale is ending, but I actually have no idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
probably
it ends
should've-
when it ends, so hopefully it's still up by next week. But if not, it's still a book worth checking out. But
I'm glad.
before we dive into the book, we can go over some of the media that we've watched over the last week.
Okay.
It's been like 3 or 4 weeks since I last did this, but I'll keep it brief. I'm actually going to shout out a movie I saw that surprised the hell out of me last week,
Nice.
which was The First Omen.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Okay.
Yeah, I expected
Only
the first
recently.
is what?
I was just surprised that you saw that for the first time recently.
Oh no! There's a prequel to The Omen out now called The First Omen.
Oh, I didn't. I thought you literally meant the first Omen. Like
No,
the first.
I did not.
Yeah.
I did rewatch the original Omen movie the other week though, which still holds up to this day.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
1 second. I gotta leave the microphone if you want to take this over, Matt.
Sure, I'll. Yes. So I guess I'll start with what I read this week, and I think I finished this. Anyway, I finished it this past week, which is and I don't think I talked about this, which was Godzilla and Godzilla Raids Again by Shigeru Kayama. And that's my Midwest coming out, so that might be a very wrong way to pronounce the last name. I did. It was a lot of fun. So this is, for people who might not know, it's a novelization of the first two Godzilla movies, so way back in the 50s. And Shigeru wrote this, I think he wrote this after the movies came out. It's all in the book, and I don't remember what they said, but it came out around the same time. And so, it's the two movies. It's Godzilla and Godzilla Raids Again, but it's a lot of fun in the reading aspect of it because one, you're kind of seeing how somebody does a kaiju novel way back, and you're also kind of just getting a little bit more thought process and just a little digging more into the characters and what they're going through. In case you have never heard of Godzilla or never saw the original, or didn't see -1, it basically Japan, they're testing hydrogen bombs, and that wakes up Godzilla, and he comes up and he starts attacking Japan, and Japan has to figure out how to stop him. And they, the usual thing, they fire stuff at him and it doesn't seem to phase them. They come up with an electric gate, and that doesn't seem to phase them. And in the end, they figure out the only way to really stop him is this oxygen bomb. So that's the real basic of it. And then Godzilla Raids Again, he comes back, and then he gets attacked by, and I can't remember the name of the character, but it's like a big ankylosaur kind of dinosaur thing. And so you get kaiju battles, and then sort of the same thing. They figure out a way to kind of stop Godzilla. That's the real basic of it, but it's a blast to read. It's really funny in this because it's a translation, and Shigeru, every once in a while will pause the story to tell you a little bit about Japan. And so he's like, by the way, if you didn't know this about Kyoto Station, it's blah, 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 blah. And so it's he's addressing you as the reader. And
so you're learning as you go.
Yeah, you're learning as you go, and you're like, oh, I want to kind of see this. So it sort of comes out of the blue. Some stories when you have the writer kind of as the narrator and then pauses, they kind of ease you into it, so you're expecting to have these little station breaks. But this one, it just happens maybe halfway through, so you're just kind of taken off guard, but it's delightful. It's a fun little tidbit of information. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. It's funny considering after seeing -1, because I didn't go back and say watch the original after seeing -1. So reading this with Godzilla -1 in my brain, you can definitely see very similarities between the two, where you're kind of okay, instead of this guy dealing with PTSD, you're kind of dealing with these people, and they're kind of dealing with something else, but it's still the story's more focused on the people than Godzilla, and the way they come up with a way to stop Godzilla again is a sacrifice and everything. So it was fun to get the comparison between the two. So
okay, I used to love Godzilla when I was little. I used to watch them. Probably, I think my parents thought they were very odd. I used to watch the Hindu programs on a Sunday, and for ages I couldn't figure out why, but I think it was the colours.
Yeah,
it was so colourful. And Godzilla was another thing that I was obsessed with. I would watch, I think I've watched pretty much all of the really old ones.
Nice.
My ideal Godzilla film, I think, would be minimal talking and maximum building smashing.
Yeah.
That's kind of
all the building smashing. Also, I apologize about that whole thing. It's
okay.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah. If they could just limit the interpersonal relationships and get to the screaming and running,
Yes.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's what's funny. Like when you get into Godzilla Raids again, it's the two books are all together in this one book, but like it's clearly this one's a smaller one because it's focused. It seems like that's when they started being like, oh, it'd be more fun to have Godzilla fight somebody. But they're still kind of tweaking with the whole, like, we got to have like a bigger talky parts. And so, yeah. So they were building up to that. And I agree. I loved seeing when it was just Godzilla fighting another person in a costume and all of that. Those are always my
I remember the old ones used to have those like close-ups on like a woman, like a big fast zoom on a woman going, ah. That was so good.
And I always like tried to figure out, like, especially like with Mothra, where they had like the two kind of like really tiny women that like could communicate with Mothra. And like in my kid brain at the time, I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. It's just like there's these two tiny little fairy-like women that are chanting in unison for Mothra, and I'm like, hey, that works.
Just smash.
Yeah. I just want to see them shoot silly string and then punch each other.
Yeah, exactly. More violence.
Yes. So that was Godzilla and Godzilla Raids again.
Sweet. I'll just rewind just to go over the First Omen really quickly. And again, I apologize about that. So I will say the First Omen is not the First Omen movie. It's a prequel to the First Omen movie. Which is a weird title for it. But this movie's actually all about the birth of Damien.
Oh, okay.
And it's how it all kind of comes together. And one thing I will say is this movie feels like it was filmed in the 70s.
Okay,
like
nice.
the director behind the movie, I think this is her first like movie. I think she did TV before this, but you can tell she has a knack for like 70s horror. And it feels like they got the vibe of the 70s horror down. And the premise is it's about this young girl who's going to Rome to join take her rites and become a nun, like officially. And while she's at this place, strange things begin happening around one of the girls who's an orphan there. And people begin dying around her, and strange things begin happening. And the people behind the organization begin acting very shady as strange things begin happening to our main character. And it all leads up to what is going to be the birth of Damien. And the ending of this directly connects to the beginning of the First Omen movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it directly lines up everything. It honestly, the scares, quite good. The gore effects, also quite good. One scene they actually made like an homage to Possession.
Okay.
Which was like a weird movie to make an homage to, but they did. And it's just a really solid, mean horror movie.
Nice.
Which I feel we don't get a lot of mean horror movies these days.
That sounds good.
Like,
I want to see that.
And I'll say my last thing, and I'll go over to Vitlame. My last thing I'll say is between the First Omen and Immaculate, which are our two non-horror movies that are out now, I think the First Omen's better, but they're both really good, mean horror movies with some teeth.
Yeah, good. I like that.
And I feel we need more of that. But Vitlame, what about you?
My Alexa just started talking. It really freaked me out.
Are you sure you're not at reality but more fun?
Yeah, I think maybe she was an inspiration for it. Who knows? I know what's going on with her around.
Yeah.
Well, my husband and I, we wanted to watch a couple of horror movies that we hadn't seen when they weren't like in the cinemas here. So he hadn't seen Talk to Me yet, and we decided to grab that, and also the Boogeyman,
Nice.
which is based on Stephen King's short story, right?
The Stephen King, yeah.
Yeah.
It's based on the Stephen King story.
Yeah, so we watched the Boogeyman first. It's not good. I'm really glad I did not waste money going to the cinema to watch it.
I have to say the title doesn't make it sound great.
No, it's not. It's I mean, it has a nice premise, but it's about an entity that comes around and basically possesses people, or like just kind of like haunts them and then kills them. And it usually targets children, which is where it's called the Boogeyman, because it comes around, like it hides around in the closets or under the beds. It's basically where there's no light. And but there were so many plot holes in this, so many inconsistencies.
What's the funniest one?
The funniest one was that when the girl, one of the women who had encountered the being, said to the main character, like, "Oh yeah, you should like stay in the light because it doesn't like the light." But then why did it kept attacking a child who had so many lights in the room? Like the child was sleeping with like little fairy lights, a night light, and she also carried around a bowl of light. She slept with it, and yet it still attacked it. And I'm like, so what is it? Does it have to be like you have to shove a fucking flashlight into its eyes, or what do you? How?
It's scared of.
Or do you mean little fire?
Yeah. Were all those lights LED lights? Maybe it's okay with LED, but it doesn't like other type of
doesn't
bulbs.
Understand that it's a light.
Yes.
I mean, if the film director wants to give that explanation, then sure, but it wasn't explained. And the parents, being fucking parents, are assholes. They don't believe the children, and I'm like, you know what? In this day and age, you better fucking believe anything the kids say. Yeah. And also, like, they had just it had been 6 months since they had lost their mother. And the main character had, like, she's like a high schooler. She went back to school, and like her fucking friends were awful to her. They were like, "Come on, it's been 6 months, get over it." I'm like, do you know how hard it is to lose a person?
That's a kind of pet peeve of mine, actually, in films and things, where in order for there to be like the struggle for the main character, everyone around them is just really unreasonably horrible,
right?
Like to the point, realistic. And if it's about a parent, their teenager is just this monster who's a total brat, and there's no nuance or anything. It's very annoying.
Yeah, and the one thing also annoying part about it, the father, he's a psychologist or a therapist, and he is also struggling, with the death of his wife, but he is dismissing the grief of his own children, and he's just basically ignoring his own grief. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You're a therapist. You should see the signs already.
Yeah.
Like, you should be talking to another person for this. What the fuck? You shouldn't even be working if you're this dismissive about your own fucking emotions. It, like, so many problematic things in this movie. And the worst part, the fucking being, the entity, not scary at all.
No.
It just looks like an elongated person, like that walks on walls, like a spider. But it doesn't even have extra limbs.
An actual spider would probably be scarier.
Yes, it would be 100 times scarier. There's this one piece that, like, and at the end of the movie, like at the climax, when it's kind of almost getting to kill the high schooler, but like instead of like straight up like, you know, eviscerating her, she's basically just kind of like absorbing her life essence or something like that, and he's just pinning her down, and then suddenly like the non-threatening face, whatever that was, kind of opens up, and like there's like two arms that are opening it up, so like it gets extra limbs at the end, and there's like another being inside of that. That was freaky as hell, and I'm like, why didn't you do this in the beginning?
It was just saving up. It was like, I can't let this little guy out. I gotta take some time first.
But it's just like
the consultant.
But it's like, come on, like it wasn't like, for me, I kept like thinking, is it like, are you doing this as an introduction to horror, like to ease people in who have never seen horror movies, because this is bland as fuck.
Yeah, maybe it's kids. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe would a kid find that scary though? I don't know. I mean,
there are a lot of like, there are sensitive topics there. I mean, the guy who plays in Late Night with the Devil, he's in it, and he's briefly in it, but he like offs himself inside their house, and I'm like, that's
maybe
brutal.
Not for kids.
Yeah, so it's not like kid friendly. So I'm like, what's the deal here? Like, what's the point of the movie? So yeah, I usually they don't really do a good job adapting Stephen King stories. So so I maybe give it a rest.
Yeah. Was that, and I can't remember if you said it, was that Boogeyman thing, was that only going after kids?
They said like it particularly likes children.
Okay. And you said it was draining its a life force of,
yeah.
Like, does it like to scare them before it eats them?
No, that's the thing. Like, I thought it was like kind of like a precursor to it.
Yeah. Well,
but not really. It's like it didn't feed off their fear.
Okay.
What did it do?
I was just wondering.
Hang around, annoying them.
Yeah, it kind of did. It just like, you know, maybe depriving them. Yeah, basically depriving them of sleep or something. I don't know. It's just like they already do that with the phone. So what the fuck?
It's more of an annoyance.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's here again, tipping over my glass of water.
Yeah.
Put it under the bed and go, can you just keep quiet tonight, please, for God's sake?
Yeah, just have like a water spray and just spray it with water and like, shh, no.
Yeah. Like a cat.
Yeah.
And then it becomes really well trained. You can play fetch with it.
Yes. In the dark. You can show it tricks.
You can just feel like, can you just go downstairs and tell Mom I'm busy?
Yeah. I'm playing with my monster.
Yeah.
No, it's not a euphemism, Mom.
Yeah. I just realized I'm out of toilet paper. Can you go get me some toilet paper? I don't want to.
Yep.
Shut up. You're here with me now.
You chose me.
Yeah, this is what you get.
So yeah, if you want to be bored, watch it. If not, just stick to the short story. It might be better. I haven't read it myself, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that the Boogeyman was not what you hoped it would be.
I mean, it's always good to add in a little bit of a rant of things you didn't like in between here. So yeah.
Is it funny?
That's very true.
It's not.
Is it?
Well, I mean, I giggled when I saw the monster. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I was wondering if it might be so bad it's good, or is it just bad?
No, it's just bad. Unfortunately.
Lame.
It happens. You can't always have good shit.
No.
That's true. So Madeleine, what about yourself?
So I'm picking stuff I've seen this week. Is that how?
Yeah, we'll say recent, and if it's something you read or watched.
Right. I I don't have too much to say about a book, but I just really want to quickly mention a book before I talk about the thing I want to talk about, which is a book called I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. It was just really good. I don't really have a lot to say about it though, so it's just a quick I found it very raw and real, and I enjoyed it loads. But I'm going to talk about a film I saw called American Fiction. I don't know if you've seen that film.
That movie was one of my favorite movies of last year.
Oh, you've seen? Oh God, I watched it recently and it was so funny, and I really
it's hilarious.
The end. I don't want to give too much away, but I just really liked how at the end he was like, how are we going to end it? I don't know. Like maybe we could do that. Like what would be a good resolution for this thing? I have no idea. but basically, it was this guy who's a lecturer. Is he an English lecturer or like English?
Yeah, he's like a English college professor.
Yeah. And he is really annoyed with black representation in literature and how it's always seems to be like the same kind of thing. And so he decides to do like a satirical version of it, thinking people are just going to see through it and they're going to, the publisher's going to look at it and think, what is this trash? But it ends up becoming like one of the most popular books of the year. And it's like a kind of like Boys in the Hood kind of, like very sort of traditional, like black man struggle kind of thing. And he's like, but why is no one seeing through the fact that it has every stereotype going in, And it's just really funny. Made me laugh.
Yeah, no, I think my favorite is when he's talking to the publisher and he's like, I want to change the name of the book. And they're like,
exactly why I was gonna mention that now. And he's trying to push it in like, how can I make this even worse? And he's like, I want to call it fuck.
Oh my God, I love it.
Listen, there's one thing he says in that scene where he's like, it's the kind of book that you white people like to read when you're vacationing up in the Hamptons. And she's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. It was very good. And I liked there's a kind of meta sort of thing to it as well, where he's kind of talking about like the ending, like I mentioned, he's talking about how would I end it, in the book, and then how would I end it in the film? Because it's a film, and yeah, it's very clever.
That's awesome.
It's actually based on a book called Erasure, and I know it's by a author name is Percival Everett, and I know, and I haven't read it, but one of my friends loves Erasure. It's one of his favorite books.
Oh, I need to read that.
Apparently, the fake book is fully in Erasure.
Oh.
So,
right.
So you can read you can read fuck in its entirety within the book of Erasure.
That sounds so good.
He actually, I just bought his newest book. I haven't read it yet, though. I want to start it soon. But he just put out a book this year called James, and it's a satirical retelling of Huckleberry Finn focused on the Jim character.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize that was I've heard of that one, and that caught my eye, and I need to have a look at that.
Yeah, I haven't started it yet, but I've heard nothing but great things about it, and he seems like a really good satirical author. So I'm kind of excited to see his spin on it and what he does with everything.
So is the writer of that book the person who wrote the film, or was the film just based on the book? Do you know?
Oh,
hello?
Lost him.
He just.
My question.
All right, well.
So he didn't know the answer, so he just laughed.
He was embarrassed, so he just disappeared. Well, to keep the train going and pretend that he's not there, I will. My next book that I want to talk about real quick is.
I'm back. My apologies about that. My screen just randomly turned off, and then. But you were asking me a question, Madeleine, that I wasn't able to respond.
I just wondered if you knew, is the writer of the book the same person that wrote the film script, or was the film script but just based on the book? Do you know?
I think the film script's based on the book, but I'd have to do a little digging to find out. I
Yeah.
do know the book Erasure came out in 2001.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he was having that conversation that they're having in the movie way back in like 2001.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is kind of interesting that it's been around that long. The conversation's been around going on for that long.
Yeah. I hadn't even heard of the book. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, I will say, just to keep it quick so we can get on to my last thing will be a recommend for the Fallout TV series.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I got hooked into it when I was sick with either a stomach bug or food poisoning, and it made my sickness that much easier to get through.
Nice.
So thank you, Fallout, for keeping me company while I was extremely sick over a couple of days. But no, it's I think it's a really kind of fun post-apocalyptic TV series.
Oh, I do like
nothing amazing, but I think it's a bit more on the sillier side.
Clips, they're always good.
Yeah, this is a bit more on the sillier side. I will say Walton Goggins is great in it, but he's great in everything he's in.
I'm just going to refer to him as Fallout Deadpool.
Fallout Deadpool.
Yep, he looks like Deadpool. I can't shake it off. He looks like Deadpool just without his nose.
Speaking of Deadpool, that new Deadpool movie looks terrible.
Oh, I think it'll be fun.
I saw the trailer and I was like, this just looks so bad. But
yeah, I'm really over the whole superhero thing. I know it's not like traditional superhero type thing anyway, but yeah, I'm really kind of over it. I think the last one I watched was the Joker, and I was like, right, I can't be asked anymore.
Yeah,
so you're not gonna watch the next one, the Joker that has Lady Gaga?
No, I do love Lady Gaga, but I will not go there for her.
Yeah, that's fair. I actually didn't even see Joker. I was just never saw it. I did watch the trailer for this new one, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting, but not enough for me to get into it or anything. So.
Well, the Joker, the Joker's a weird film because it has all the sort of visual references of something that I don't want to say like a good film because that sounds like a snob, but something from the 70s, like, I don't know, Taxi Driver or something like that, but it's a superhero thing and they're just silly by definition.
Yeah.
And as soon as it goes into the whole alter ego villain type thing, it's just silly. So I don't think that works.
Yeah.
Anyway, to keep this rolling, you can finish your stuff up, Matt.
Yeah, sure. I am almost finished with Michael Tichy's The Winnowing Draw, which I believe came out somewhat recently, at least in 2024. Yeah, it came out February 2024. This is kind of a cosmic horror Western novel, and it pulls a lot of Cormac McCarthy's bleak and violence into it. And I'm enjoying it a ton. The really basic concept is it's following four things. And there's a kid who murdered another kid, and so he's on the run. And then you have this general who is tasked with clearing out the West of all of the weird, like almost all of the cryptids. We'll just say it like cryptid things, but all the mysterious things that people believe are in the in the West. And so he's tasked with hunting down these monsters and eradicating them because there shouldn't be any monsters in America. And then you are following a bounty hunter who is going after the kid, and this bounty hunter is like what I actually thought of a lot is he reminds me of, I think it's Aaron Taylor Johnson from Bullet Train. So I think that's the character. So he reminds me a lot of that. So he's a very put together, clean, cleanly dressed, doesn't match that kind of Western motif. And so he's sort of homicidal, but also has like that, again, just like Aaron Taylor Johnson's character from Bullet Train, kind of has these delusions of grandeur while he's torturing and murdering people. And then you have this other thing, this cosmic entity that's sort of in the earth and is slowly drawing all these characters together and trying to take over and do cosmic horror-y things. It's great. I love
great.
this. Yeah, it's an awesome.
That sounds
mix.
awesome.
It has that Cormac McCarthy style, especially whatchamacallit, the Blood Meridian. It kind of has that prose style, really short sentences that don't dwell on a lot of stuff, that just hit right to the point. And it makes, the West is a very brutal place, and Michael does not hide from that brutalness in this. But it's also kind of fun that he's throwing in this cosmic otherworldly thing happening with these monsters that are out there, and then with this entity that is kind of playing with everything like that. So it's a cool mix that we really haven't seen. Obviously, we've seen a lot of what's really popular, has been popular, is the splatter Western, and those all have their thing, but this one is a different take on that, and I really appreciate it. So definitely worth checking out the Winnowing draw.
Yeah, that sounds right up my alley.
I think a lot of people are gonna like this, and I think I'm almost done with it, and everything about it I'm just loving, and yeah, it's definitely a good step from, say, Cormac McCarthy into more cosmic stuff. So it's a blast.
Sweet.
Good combo.
Yeah, it's a great combo.
All right, I'm trying to keep this on time so we get some good reality but more fun. Vitlame, did you want to talk to me real quick?
Yeah, I just
get into reality but more fun.
No, you know what? This is the only thing I've basically been consuming anyway. So yeah, let's dive into this fun theme park.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So I think we're gonna do the very general question, and then we can get into more specifics. But like, maybe if you want to just talk about where this came from.
Oh, blimey! How to explain my brain? I think it just came about from a bunch of different, like, trying to make sense of being a person in a world where everything seems slightly odd to you, and just fitting in general is sometimes difficult. And I think trying to make sense of the world as it is can be very difficult, and perhaps it was just a way of showing that, like, how difficult sometimes just going about your normal day can be. I don't know.
No, that I like that. That makes I can see that in this, and I just thought, and I probably should have backed up the question. So we're going to do the other question, and then we'll go back to that one. Maybe if you can explain what this is to people. What is this book about?
So it's about mainly two sisters who are in a theme park, and the place is called Reality But More Fun. There's different sections to the theme park, and they're in an area called the Belle Epoque, which was a time in France, sort of, from 1870 to, I guess, the First World War, where everything was supposedly, all fun, and there were music halls and silent films and, just gaiety in general, and literally, and, the old kind. But it basically, they're just think that they've only been there for a short time, and that they're there because their mum, who is French, had always wanted to go, and she's got an illness, and they're trying to make things good for her. But one sister's just bored and wants to go off and do her own thing, and the other one is kind of left looking after the mum. But there's something basically, it's nothing is quite what it seems. And that's it.
yeah. And there's like what I think with that too, and that there's things that not what it seems, and it's this theme park has what is it? It's like it's not they're not robots, but it's like this kind of weird thing. And maybe they are robots. This thing of where things change, and there's characters that are interacting with people, and
you never quite know whether you're talking to a character or another tourist, and that can change. Like they find out that you can change into a character. I won't go there too much, but basically you have to kind of work out if you're talking to a character by if they seem very like too into the game or something, like or very into the era. And but I guess you can never know for sure. And the place itself is kind of falling apart. There are these glitches that happen where they can be just odd, or they can be quite horrific, and you never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's funny because reading this and just for you too, and for everyone listening, obviously our questions are going to be all over the place, or our comments are going to be all over the place. So there's no forum here. Talking about it, be like after like it, like I know it was a theme park, but in my head, like it was a whole other thing as I was reading it, because like you did have like there's these two cats that one of the sisters owns, and this is for listeners. There's two cats that one of the sisters they have, and like one of the cat's legs will just change into things, and then the other one, like radio sounds and stuff will come out of its nose. And then you have other parts where they're like at a park and there's somebody sitting on a bench, and this just stuck with me, is like they're reading a book. This person on the bench is reading a book, but then they like age out and die. And then when they turn the page, they're back to normal. And so like, it's just all this like craziness. So in my head, I was like I logically knew like that this was set like in a theme parky thing, but like, sometimes you kind of lose track of what your head's telling you, and you're like, oh, this is like some weird virtual reality kind of thing happening, and all this stuff is just crazy. And so anyway,
I wanted to kind of give you the impression of you want to go for a nice walk in the park, but are you gonna see someone's skin fall off? It keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, which I think what I loved, because like this book, at least for me, kind of worked on the layers of you're telling the story, and these weird things are happening, and it's this reality but more fun kind of thing. But as the reader too, you're always kind of questioning what you're reading. And I think, to go all the way back to my comment about virtual reality or theme park, I think that helps, because as the reader, you're also a little off kilter at what's actually really happening or what's not happening, where they are. And I love that that you kind of put me in that kind of headspace, as well as the characters in this headspace.
Oh, good job done. That's definitely.
I also really like the fact that you mentioned in the story that the guests, they are not allowed to stay for too long, because it might mess up with them. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, makes sense. I mean, because you start to lose your grip on reality if you stay for too long. And they are given like a maximum of week. Yeah. But then as you read on in the story, you notice that the sisters might have been a bit longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you start thinking like, so they probably there's probably a start changing them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, how are they gonna be when they come out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's how I felt about it. It felt to me because you said like it's written in the story that this theme park basically just appeared. Like no one knew what happened. Like it just appeared, and it immediately got me thinking to the movie Annihilation.
Yeah, I kind of I wanted to do. I guess it's kind of a sillier version of Annihilation,
right? That's what
yeah.
that's what I kept thinking. I was like, this is a good nod to Annihilation because it's kind of like this. It has this mind bending ability that you're like always second guessing everything.
Yeah, that's good. I kind of because I read the book and I actually weirdly didn't enjoy the book as much as the film. I'm so sorry, Jeff. It was very good.
Really?
And it's really hard to like visualize when you see them differently on film, right?
Yeah. And I really like that monster that
the bear monster.
The bear?
Yeah. It's you can still hear people saying help, coming out.
That was horrifying.
Yeah. That's really eerie. I tell you what, another kind of thing that inspired me as well. I went to this Dali museum in London, and there was a section where they gave you these glasses, and you could wander around the room with these glasses on, and you could see the room, but there'd be all these weird things like a giant candle coming out of the ground and a ship sort of floating towards you with all weird stuff on it. And then me and this guy bumped into each other, and we didn't even see each other with these glasses on, and it was, I think, that was a big help,
Mm-hmm, yeah, that definitely mind bending. So, is that museum still around?
Yeah. Is that still there in London? Do you know?
Oh, I'm not sure actually. I think it was only on for a limited time. I don't know if it was for some sort of anniversary or I don't know really. I think there was is there some anniversary about Dali? I don't know, but it is still there. I recommend you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 3D thing.
Sounds interesting.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
So in this, for listeners, we kind of, like I was talking about with Michael Tichy's book, we kind of bounce between a couple different characters, and I enjoyed having was Samir and Jillian, who are like, what would you describe their jobs are?
So they're kind of, when there's different levels that the staff have to deal with of glitches, and if it's a level 1, then the glitch will sort itself out, like the person that ages, dies, and then comes back on the bench, like that's a level 1. There's no interference needed. But if they get like a bleep on their kind of walkie-talkie kind of thing, then that's a level 2, and they have to go and see what's up and see if they can sort it out, because that's usually some sort of grim monster that's appeared. Because basically reality is kind of falling apart in there, and their job is to, I guess, contain it, and it's getting more out of control.
Yeah, I loved it because it's kind of that other side of this place, and seeing that like there are workers that have to kind of, it's a theme park. They have to do work there, and also kind of showing that this is a thing that they deal with, and that also helped show us some of the scarier bits of things happening in this place. And so anyway, I like their characters and what they were doing, and then this kind of detectiveness of them searching through things. I don't want to spoil any of it, but I just enjoyed their characters. So we've talked about melting people, and we've talked about cats and stuff like that. And, I'm kind of flipping through, and I got to a part with your ET plushies that were on one of the cats. Like, did you just have like a list of wacky things to throw in here?
Well, I sometimes I just kind of grab the first thing that's on my brain when I do it, and I think that was one of them, like an ET. That had to have been something that I'd maybe seen. Maybe I'd seen ET plushies advertised somewhere. I don't know, but sometimes me and my husband will kind of joke back and forth about what would be a weird thing to see, and those are a really big help actually, because we do come out with some very strange ideas together. So yeah, like a weird mind meld.
I loved it. It was, I think overall when I was going through reading this, like I kept just thinking, I loved, like, it's very bizarro in what it's dealing with and how you give us these things and how you display it all. And just even like the reactions of our characters to some of these events, again, ET plushies or this melting person or the things they find at the park or at the dance club and like missing arms and stuff like that, where the reaction isn't, though we do get this reaction, but for the most part, the reaction is just kind of like, oh, that thing just happened again. And our people just kind of continue. And I just loved it and loved that like idea of like a bizarro idea. I don't know if that's like, if you were kind of thinking bizarro or you were just thinking, I'm going to just write a thing and just have it happen.
I kind of, I know my stuff has been described as bizarro, and I guess it is, but I don't go into a thing thinking this is going to be this genre. I'll have an idea, and if I can find somewhere that fits it, if that's where it goes, then that's all good, But yeah, I have the idea and then see what can happen with that,
Nice. No, I think, and that's what I think works well in this is like, because you weren't, like you just said, you have an idea and you go for it. You're not like aiming to do something, because it's an actually interesting, even beside all of this, it's just that interesting thought process of what reality is and dealing with personal relationships between sisters or even beyond that, because and that train of thought just kind of goes all over the place for me, but like just that the idea that you have of people using this theme park for things other than the theme park. Like you have one of the sisters' husbands is like studying this place, and it's so fascinating to think about that, where they're like, yeah, we need to figure out everything we can about this place. And then you have like another guy who's kind of using it as a place to scam people. And
yeah.
So
yeah, I really wanted to include a kind of a scammer type character that is actually, it's not based on an ex, but I did have an ex that pretended that he had cancer, and he did so many. I could probably write a book about him, but this is not based on him. This is kind of, I took the idea of a scammer and then went with it. But I also listen to a lot of podcasts about con artists and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wherever you get somewhere that's good or fun or something, you're gonna get a scammer. Like, just look at the internet, like every platform, you have someone trying that. So there will be someone using a place.
I almost got duped into a scam yesterday, so yeah.
Yeah. And it's, people think, oh, I'll never fall for that, but you just never know. You never know. So
honestly, it's easy to get scammed. Like, it sneaks up on you. You honestly don't realize till after it happens a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was with this guy for 2 years. I mean, what was going on with me? But yeah, fascinating. I find it more, I think rather than get all sad about it, I choose to find it fascinating, like I like listen to a lot of things about con artists because I want to know, like, what are they thinking? How do they deal with being like that? Because that can't be easy, you know.
Yeah.
It can't to
Putting on it.
carry that around, you know, knowing
Yeah.
that you're doing it to people. It's quite fascinating.
Oh, 100%. It's crazy. Yeah. It's like, how can you
Definitely.
think that it's okay, or what is your deal? Like, yeah, it's a whole fascinating thing.
Yeah. Like we recently watched the most recent adaptation of The Talented Mr. Ripley, and
Oh, yeah.
I think it didn't get great reviews, but I really liked it because it was really beautifully shot, and Italy is just a beautiful place. You know, it doesn't have to try; it's already beautiful.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just get a beautiful shot by just looking at it. But I thought it was a really like slow burn, and I thought that it did that really well. Like it was not. It kind of built up to it, you know. Like the last few episodes were very like it got more intense as it went on, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know we're getting close to time. So maybe if somebody was looking at this, what would you tell them to make them buy it?
It would make me very happy, and I would be pleased if you bought it. Thank you very much.
Yes. Perfect. Where can people find this? Because I know it's out, Nicotinating Books.
Yeah, it's out with them. It's on Amazon, it's on Apple Books, it's on all of the e-reader things that you can think of. I don't yet know about the physical copies, but I do know that they're coming, and I'm going to do an audiobook version because we were thinking about getting somebody else to do it, but I love audiobooks, and I thought I could have a go. If it doesn't come out well, then we'll get someone else to do it, but I would like to have a go. So that will also be coming.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is great news.
That's great.
What are you and this will be my final question before we go on a wrap up, but what are you working on anything new? Do you have anything coming out soon? I know this just came out, but
Yeah, I've got well, already coming out is a thing in I can't remember where, but it's a 260 word story. So I had to like really pack it in, you know. I do like tiny stories. I'm a big fan of short stories, but 260 words is tiny.
It's so hard.
Yeah, it was really hard. But yeah, that's coming out. I guess follow my Twitter and I'll remind myself of what it's actually in so I can let you know. I can't remember. I'm started making notes on a new novella. Yeah, I'm just working on various short stories, and me, my husband, and my friend have something coming out with oh my god, do you know, I get to a point where I don't remember anything. Like I talk for so long and I just completely blank on any names or anything like that. British Bizarro Company. No, Ex-Parrot Press. Oh god. Ex-Parrot. That's what it's called. And it's with Liam Shardlow. And basically me and my husband wrote 20 flash fictions each.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and our friend is really good at art, and he's done pictures for each of the stories. And that is going to come out at some point too.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
And
Excited.
yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for it.
Mm-hmm.
And Madeleine, where can our listeners get in touch with you?
I'm on Twitter, Madeleine Swann, capital M, capital S. I am I do really stupid videos on YouTube and TikTok where I don't really know how to explain them. They're kind of like tiny stories, but it's mainly me pretending that something really weird has just happened. Like like I caught my neighbor doing necromancy and stuff like that. And that's TikTok is Madeleine Swann Surreal, and YouTube is Miss Madeleine Swann, because I don't know how to change it. I got married, and I'm not a miss anymore. So I guess I'll always be a miss on there. But yes, that's
All right.
Yeah.
Then make sure to check those out. And Vitlame, where can listeners get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me at Twitter as Vitlame Miss. Now, Vitlame Ass. Goddamn, I'm confusing everything together now. I'm also on Blue Sky, though I haven't been as active as I should have at Vitlame Miss. But I'm also pretty active on Instagram with my handle Fangs and Light. And I also have a website that I desperately need to update, VitlameMistAuthor.com.
Sounds great. And Matt, where can listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, I am on Twitter at BrandenburgDM, and I guess I am on Blue Sky too, but yeah, it's been months since I've done anything with that. And then I have a website, matt-brandenburg.com.
Perfect. And you can follow me with the Twitter handle at Into Staring. And this is Richard Gerlach saying, keep staring.